What's going on, guys? It's your boy Joe DeCapita. All you crazy know-it-alls out there, all you football maniacs out there. I had to get on. I mean, it's it hasn't been too long since the season ended, and I'm already having withdrawals. So, I mean, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. Obviously, we just heard recently today that Rashee Rice has been given amnesty. That's right, amnesty from the NFL. No punishment that's going to happen to him, and I gotta tell you, I'm really, really disappointed in the NFL. I thought that I honestly thought that the NFL was gonna wait until after the court case concluded and the decision was made and a verdict was handed down, and it just simply wasn't. And I gotta pull up. This was reported initially by Adam Schefter. Uh, Here's the thing is that he's been officially granted amnesty by the NFL and will not face any suspensions at all in the upcoming season in 2025. The Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver was this is going back to the incident was driving 119 miles an hour before causing a six vehicle pileup in April of 2024 on a Dallas highway. According to an arrest warrant affidavit obtained by the Dallas Morning News at the time, uh, and I'm sorry, like if you had a chance to see the video, if you haven't, go and look. You can search it up. I think it's TMZ that has like the video of the actual accident. But what's interesting about this is even though it happened, back in April, um, the evidence came out. We saw that most of us anyway have seen the video, have seen pictures, and it's pretty crazy to think that like for Rashee Rice being a young player, I mean the guy's only 24 years old, uh, getting into that kind of that level of accident, causing a lot of pain and damage. I mean, there's reports of you know he that the people that were involved in the accident are suing this dude for upwards to $10 million in damages. Not just the vehicles, and obviously there's a long list of medical bills that are racking up uh, for the people that were involved. And you know, it's one of these things where I get it being a young NFL player, you're making a ton of money. You're especially for Rashee Rice, super successful in the league already. And I gotta say, like, what does this show all the other players? What does this show going forward? Like, the NFL's preached numerous times about how, we're gonna throw the book at people. We want to keep everybody in line. We want this league to be safe. We want we don't want any negative, PR for the public. We don't want to show that we're bad people or we have bad players involved in our league. We want everything to be shown as like, oh, we're upstanding citizens. We have a great community, and donate to charities and all that, like all the good stuff, right? But when the NFL takes a couple of black eyes, and this is one of those big deals for Rashee Rice. I mean, here's the thing: is like about the accident report. I mean, this is pretty crazy. Like he's facing 8 felony charges for this, for the street racing incident that occurred. Uh, and and that's back in March of 24. One woman was injured in the crash, sustained injuries to her head, her neck, and back while having her 4-year-old son in the vehicle too. So if she sustained injuries, you can damn well assume that the kid also did as well. I mean, that wasn't reported, but I'm just going on the assumption that I mean, if she was hurt that badly, even though you being in a car seat, something might have happened there too. The affidavit listed one person as having sustained seriously bodily injury to her face, head, torso, and legs. The report said also had a post concussion symptoms, including headaches, extreme light and sound sensitivity, and brain fog. That one female will be dealing with a life of limited mobility and sight for an undetermined extended period of time while she seeks treatment, the affidavit said. So going back to this accident, April, I think it originally happened in March, but in April, I think that's when all the news came out about it. Rashee Rice and a college player, Teddy Knox, the alleged driver of the Corvette that was, involved in this, were sued for more than 10 million in damages by people who say they were severely injured in the crash. Now that we have all the details, I mean, we got video evidence, we got pictures, we have just an abundance of information all against Rashee Rice and his friends that were all involved in this accident. It's truly damaging to the NFL now that when you issue a statement like this where, "Oh, we're gonna give Rashee Rice complete amnesty. It's okay. It's okay you screwed up. We're just gonna wash that under the rug." Be it why? Is it just because he's on the Chiefs team? Is it just because he's a young, you know, successful player that's established himself at a high level in the league we're not gonna try to frown upon that. We're gonna just kind of like, oh, people will forget. That I think that's what the NFL is hoping for is that they forget and we move on. And it does happen. I mean, there's definitely instances that have transpired in the past with the NFL where some players might have allegedly got in trouble, but as long as they don't talk about it, seems to go away. People seem to forget. But that's what they're hoping with Rashee Rice. So, um, what I'll say is, I gotta say, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, uh, but what does this shows a precedent for everybody else that's going to get in trouble. Now, here's the thing: is like there's two ways to look at this. The NFL by doing this for Rashee Rice, you're basically telling every other player that if you're a highly skilled, very public persona out there, damn near like basically a superstar for his team, we're going to find a way to kind of dodge the bullets, and move on. Whereas I've seen in the past players that don't have that kind of high end caliber aura about them or success in the league, they get the book thrown at them. They do years. They go to jail. You know, I mean, I think right off the top of my head, I think about Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs drafted by the Raiders, very young, up and coming talent, only 2 years into the league before he screwed up halfway through his second year, where he got drunk one night, decided to take his Lamborghini, home, racing through the streets of Las Vegas, and sadly, you know, crashed right into the back of a vehicle, killing the female driver and killing the dog that was with her. And that guy just started his career. And guess what happened to him? Not in the league, not in the league at all. In jail, serving time for what he did. He knew it was wrong. He definitely was empathetic, was extremely um, you know, apologetic to the family and obviously, but that doesn't make up for it. And he knows that. But now he's serving time. I think he's due to get out actually relatively soon, within the following year or the year after. And he'll be, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments below. I want to say he's going to be like 28 when he gets out of jail, and he'll be a free agent. If anybody wants to give him a chance, they can. But still, he served his time. Whereas Rashee Rice, who is seen as a higher end caliber player and on one of the more prolific teams in the league, he kind of gets a pass. So I think it's wrong, and I absolutely totally disagree with the decision by the NFL and Roger Goodell. But I gotta say, you know, push comes to shove, this is kind of the unfortunate part of it all. Is some guys get away with things, other guys don't. But it seems to be like if you have any kind of skin in the game of the league looks to protect you rather than punish you when they should have. For the life of me, absolutely disgusted by this decision. So that's it for Rashee Rice. If anybody, I'd love to find out what your guys' thoughts out there are like about the Rashee Rice situation. Comment down below. We're live right now. Any comments that you guys drop down, we're gonna obviously we're gonna show them on the show. We'll give you a shout out. We'll talk about it. Or if there's something else that you might want to talk about. Is there some situation with your team, or are you looking towards free agency? This the combine is next at the end of next week. I'm super excited about that. Like I can't wait to dive into that, to start doing my own scouting, to come up with my top tens and whatnot, and that way I can show you guys how I view the prospects coming out. Uh, but again, comment down below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions out there, and don't forget obviously to subscribe to our channel. Head over to YouTube for us. You can do that very simply. Um, by heading over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button for us. Really does help. It does help support the show. We have the QR code that popped up on the screen just a second ago, and really does help. We are growing. It's been a grind. Not gonna lie. YouTubing, podcasting, all that kind of deal. It is a grind, and we're trying to deliver the best content we can for you guys. I am without my partner Jimmy today. Yeah, I kind of gone rogue a little bit, and I just wanted to get on because there's some things that we just need to talk about as we get closer to the kind of the more fun part of the off season, free agency, draft, and whatnot. But really appreciate you guys. Those of you that are subscribed, thank you so much. And that's what we do it for. So next topic that I had in mind to talk about is Matt Stafford. I mean, it's one of these polarizing, uh, you know, whenever there's a quarterback involved in the offseason where there's a potential that he could be traded. That's been reported, but it's also been reported lately that the Rams have allowed Matt Stafford to pursue an offer to basically gauge what his value is throughout the league. And if it's a number that the Rams aren't comfortable with in either matching or coming close to or whatnot, then I could really see them moving on from Stafford because it's all going to come down to numbers. It's all going to come down to money. We all know that Matt Stafford, you know, being 37 years old, we've seen aging quarterbacks. You look at Rodgers, who's 40 plus. You look at Kirk Cousins, who's getting up there. It can go two different ways. It can really go two different ways for the quarterbacks and what. Uh, oh, we in the comment section down in below here, we got Paul Matty just chiming in. He goes, "I shared this vehicle to Pigskin Talk. Appreciate it, Paul." And Paul's been a long OG know-it-all for us, a big supporter of the show. Really do appreciate him. And for any of you that are looking for a football group and community that is nonstop NFL, that is nonstop talk, Pigskin Talk is a great group to go to. And I'm not saying it because I'm a member. I'm just saying that there are a ton of people in that group. They're great people. They all have good knowledge, and it's a great place also to debate some things. So definitely check out Pigskin Talk if you haven't done so already. But thanks, Paul. Uh, Going back to Matt Stafford here. So I got a report from Ian Rappaport basically saying confirming, that he's given permission they've given him permission to speak to other teams in terms of his value and to see, like, what kinda number teams are gon might or may throw at him, uh, and then when he comes back to the negotiating table, that's when they're gonna kinda sit down and be like, "Alright, well, this team offered me 35,000,000 a year. This team offered me 30,000,000 a year with incentives to make 40, to make 45 or 50." So, that right now is where the Rams and Stafford sit because the Rams don't wanna overpay Stafford to keep him, but at the same time, they're curious to see what the rest of the teams around the league think about him, um, and I'm curious, honestly. Like, I view Stafford as still a high caliber quarterback, a guy who can lead your offense, can help you overachieve even if your roster isn't up to par. And I think the Rams are curious to see what that means for them. Christian Dickinson, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you joining the show. Um, like I said before, listen, guys, we're live. Want you guys to chime in, give us your opinions. We just got done talking about the Rashee Rice debacle that the NFL has given him amnesty and he will not serve any punishment whatsoever going into 2025. Love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on that. Drop in the comment section down below. Um, Also, with Stafford too, is if the Rams decide, let's just say the number in their minds is lower than most of the leagues, and he comes back to the negotiating table. So, oh, this is what I found. The Rams face a very tough decision because Matt Stafford currently he can still win you another Super Bowl, and I fully expect the Rams to do everything in their power to re-sign him and keep him for at least one more year, maybe even a couple more. If they're able to do that, then their window for Super Bowl is definitely going to uh, it's definitely going to expand. You know, because think about their team right now. You know, Christian said, "Not really familiar with the Rice situation too much. I know he got into an accident and left the scene. Right? Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Christian. It was it was a 6-car pileup. This is going back to 2024 season. Before the season even got here, back in the I think March is when the incident happened. But really quickly got involved in the accident with friends of his. They were street racing, going well above 100 miles an hour, about 119, and they got into this accident. They fled the scene, and he's being brought up on 8 felony charges as we speak. Nothing's been decided, but the NFL today has given Rashee Rice amnesty to not serve any punishment from the NFL in 2025 without even hearing the verdict. So that's why it's a pretty upsetting thing to me. I just I don't understand the precedent that you're setting is absolutely terrible when you're a league that continues to preach how you're gonna be a safe league, you're gonna look out for the community, you're gonna, protect the shield of the NFL. This is not the way to do it. So yeah. So back to Stafford here. Um, Paul said the broadcast looks great, brother. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. It would look even better though, if we had Jim here. But I'm kind of going rogue a little bit here, and just kind of I love talking football, and I love talking football with you guys, especially the ones that have been around, and new people too. Like that's what this is all about. Our show is all about interaction. It's all about getting your guys' opinions out there. We love to give our opinion, obviously. That's why we started the show. Uh, and we don't like to be, or I should say this, we do our best to not be biased at all, whether it be our own teams we talk about or everyone else's teams, even teams that we dislike. We try to keep it pretty level. Uh, but so, okay, kind of got a little bit off topic there, but back to Stafford. Um, we're talking about the contract situation. We're talking about how possibly if the Rams keep him, if they're able to work out a deal, we all know they're going to work out. If they can, they're going to make it happen because that sustains them in becoming a winning team. That sustains them in future Super Bowl pursuance. They get a deal done, they're gonna be pretty happy. You look at how young this defense is, this Rams defense. They were able to get not 1, but 2 stud rookie defensive linemen, Brendan Fisk, Jared Jer uh, oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name now. Jared, starts with a V, come on. But, Jared Verse just popped in my head. But those guys have, along with the other young talent that they have on the defensive side of the ball, has given them extra life and has um, created a bigger window for them to win because a lot of scrutiny, doubt from even Rams fans when, Aaron Donald left and there was other veteran players left on, Miller moved on. All these guys seem to be leaving the Rams vets and they're like, oh crap, we got a lot of holes on that side. They were able to replenish them with either young and up because they were already on the roster or this draft that they've just nailed it. They just nailed it. And then offensively, they've managed to, along with drafting, they've managed to rebuild this offensive line. With Matt Stafford and Puka Nakua and how well he's played since 23 when he got drafted. Cooper Cup being in house. This is going to be interesting because if Stafford stays, potentially, if the free agent wide receivers that are due to leave all leave, they're down to 3 wide receivers. Jordan Whitting, one of them, obviously Puka Nacua. Cooper Cup, it's been reported he's out. They're gonna move on from him, whether they hope to trade him. But I wouldn't doubt that they just flat out cut him either. Making this decision now, they've managed to kind of change the viewpoints of what they're going to be looking for, especially this offseason. Definitely going to have to draft at least 1 wide receiver because you have Demarcus Robinson due to be a free agent. You have Tutu Atwell. You have Tyler Johnson. You have, and you have Cup being traded. That leaves you with 3 guys on the roster, and that's before practice squad and all that. But if you only have Puka Nacua and you sign Stafford to come back, you need more. Obviously, that's going to be the biggest loss is wide receivers, and that's if you don't keep anybody, which I fully expect they do. Currently, they have 44 million under the cap. They could easily, in my mind, keep Tutu Atwell, who was kind of a go-to for Stafford when Demarcus Robinson, left with injury and whatnot. Puka Nacua came and went throughout the season, but mostly was there for him 100%. Jordan Whittington, to me, is a name to watch for him to step up. It's time for him to step up, I feel like. I feel like Robinson, you let him go to free agency. He's an older wide receiver, even though he has good chemistry. I think it might be time to, like, pass the torch. Let Jordan Whittington step up, take that starting role. Tutu Atwell, you sign him. He steps up and takes a starting role, and then you build behind them. You go into the draft, you draft 1, maybe 2, or who knows? Maybe free agency, they sign 1 player, you know, and, you think about Mac Hollins, who's due to be a free agent. Maybe they bring in Mac Hollins from Buffalo if he makes it to test the market, and then they draft 1, and now they're not so bad. So I think the team with Stafford in play, if by some chance the price is too much, they're going to look to trade him. And if they make that decision, I'll say They move on from Stafford. That means they're also deciding to, I don't want to say, um, I don't want to say rebuild because that defense is already good and young, and the offense just need their quarterback away. Now, what does that mean? If they decide to move on from Stafford, now there's names out there that they could bring, that other vets. Aaron Rodgers comes to mind, and I know what you're thinking. Man, was he pretty terrible with the Jets? Yeah, you're right, he was. But something that I noticed about Rodgers is that if you protect him, which if he goes to LA, they got a pretty good offensive line. They could protect him. They can give him time to throw the ball. If this guy gets time, he can dice any defense up still. Still has a very active and strong arm, still super accurate, but just needs protection. And I think that would be a good fit for Aaron Rodgers and the Rams if they are to move on from Stafford. So the team is in good. The front office for the Rams, for the LA Rams, and the job that they've done on turning the roster over has been exceptional. I mean, I did not think that they were going to. Uh, what's going on, Eric? Eric, one of our know-it-alls, has just come in here, and he said, "What the Rams want for Stafford is crazy as far as the trade goes." Yeah, but you know something, Eric? Every team that has a player of his caliber, every team is going to start the bidding high. Everyone. Look at Cleveland with Miles Garrett. With Cleveland, they're going to want a first to start the conversation. They've already disclaimed that. Now, do they want a first and maybe another first if it's a team picking lower in the first round? Then will they command two ones? Or if you're picking high in the first round, top 15, and they still want a first, maybe that means you only have to give up one first if you believe that making that trade is going to put your team either over the top or in contention. So teams all do this. They all start the bidding high, but then in the end, they find out really quickly with whatever teams are interested, they're gonna come at them with a low ball number. They're gonna say, "Hey, listen, you want to start a conversation with first? We're only gonna give you a second." And even though like a guy like Stafford, Miles Garrett, I mean Stafford, he's playing quarterback at 37. Miles Garrett's still 29, but he's approaching 30. He's approaching that threshold where your production tends to dip a little bit sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and eventually it definitely will. So for like the situation with Miles Garrett, maybe it ends up being a second round pick, when it's all said and done. Because the draft with the draft upcoming and how valuable the draft picks actually are, I think it's going to be extremely hard for anybody to get a first rounder for him. And then for Stafford, they want to start it off with two ones. That's what I've heard. They want to start the conversation with two ones because he's a quarterback. One, he's a quarterback, got a really important position there, and also, if they have to trade him, then they're gonna want to reap any kind of rewards and compensation they can get, and I get it, but is it realistic? And we've seen from time to time, I know everybody out there, like, guys, if you're tuning in just now, really, would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below, your opinions. If you have a question about something, if there's anything you wanna talk about, make sure you do so. And don't forget to subscribe and all that jazz. But, but I gotta say, like, I as I sit here and kind of going through it a little bit here, there's a scenario where if they move on from Stafford, they could still bring in a vet quarterback that continues that Super Bowl window. And as good as Stafford is, and he's 37, he's not above 40 yet, but maybe they get enough compensation to the point where, it's not going to be a big deal. So, uh, that's all I got for today. Um, if you guys want to talk about anything, drop in the comment section down below. Don't forget, before you guys leave, make sure you subscribe. It really does help our channel out a lot. Um, we got the QR code just popped up, and really do thank you guys for tuning in. But this is kind of one of those things where, like, I just hopped on real quick. I wanted to talk about a couple of these topics and stuff, and but you know what? That does it for me. Does it for me. But thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate the support. Head over to YouTube and all that jazz. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow all that good stuff. And we will see you in the next one. Normally, our show is Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you like and all that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Those of you that did, appreciate you. God bless, and take care of everybody out there, right? You know. But if there's no more questions, I'll sit here for a couple other minutes here, and then that's it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. We will see you in the next one. Peace.